Championship parades likely to change in wake of shooting at Chiefs Super Bowl celebration. Maine police defend search for gunman who killed 18 last fall, saying they feared an ambush. Judge expresses skepticism at Texas law that lets police arrest migrants for illegal entry. Today is Friday, February 16th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report. Kansas City's mayor and security experts say it could be time to rethink the way teams celebrate their championships. Mayor Quinton Lucas said if the Chiefs win another Super Bowl, it might be better for a smaller party at their home stadium, where security can be managed more easily. One person was killed and 22 others wounded when gunfire broke out shortly after the Chiefs left the stage at their victory rally. Police say they believe the shooting was the result of a dispute among individuals in the crowd and not a terrorist attack. Security experts say large gatherings combine with the prevalence of guns to make a deadly combination. Maine State Police are defending their search last fall for a gunman who had just killed 18 people, saying they didn't rush to search woods surrounding his abandoned car because they feared an ambush. It took police 2 days to find the body of shooter Robert Card, who died by suicide, while tens of thousands of Maine residents were ordered to shelter in their homes. Police have been criticized for not finding Card sooner. On Thursday, Major Lucas Hare told a panel investigating the shooting that he decided to delay a search of the woods around the car because they'd been told that Card, a former Army reservist, might have a thermal scope and night vision capabilities. A federal judge has voiced concerns over a Texas law that would give police broad authority to arrest migrants on charges of illegal entry starting in March. U.S. District Judge David Ezra said Thursday that it would be a nightmare if the nation became a patchwork of states enforcing different immigration laws. Ezra is considering a lawsuit filed by the U.S. Justice Department. It's the first legal test of what opponents have called the most dramatic attempt by a state to police immigration since a 2010 Arizona law that was partly struck down by the Supreme Court. Ezra said he hopes to rule with enough time for any appeals before the law take effect, March 5. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has signed legislation censuring a conservative member of the State Board of Education whose social media post questioning the gender of a high school basketball player triggered a firestorm of derogatory comments. The board had voted unanimously Wednesday to reprimand and censure Natalia Klein and ask for her resignation by February 19. The board will no longer allow her to attend meetings. The board, said Klein, violated policies that require members to respect student privacy and uphold state educator standards, including treating students with dignity and respect. Klein said the board did not give her due process. A watchdog report has found that the kind of systemic failures that enabled the high-profile prison deaths of gangster Whitey Bulger and financier Jeffrey Epstein also contributed to the deaths of hundreds of other federal prisoners over the years. The scathing report found mental health care, emergency responses, and the detection of contraband drugs and weapons were all lacking. It's the latest sign of crisis at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, where an ongoing Associated Press investigation has uncovered deep, previously unreported problems. The agency said it's working to prevent suicides and conflicts that could lead to homicides. The suburban Philadelphia man charged with decapitating his father and posting a video online in which he holds up the severed head had a device with photos of federal buildings and apparent instructions for making explosives when he was arrested. The Bucks County District Attorney on Thursday charged Justin Mohn with a dozen new charges in the death last month of his father, Michael Mohn. According to prosecutors, Justin Mohn fatally shot his father with a pistol he bought the day before, and then used a kitchen knife and machete to decapitate Michael Mohn at the Levittown house where they both lived. Justin Mohn then recorded a video in which he holds up his father's head and identifies him as a 20-year federal employee. A man who succeeded in using a New York City housing law to live rent-free in an iconic hotel has been charged with fraud after he claimed to own it. Manhattan prosecutors charged Mickey Barreto with fraud and contempt, including filing false property records. They say he forged a deed to the hotel, where he started living, in 2018, after a judge ruled he had tenants' rights because he had rented a room. Barreto says he believes that the ruling gave him legal possession of the entire building. He claims that the legal maneuver wasn't for personal gain, but to deny the building's owners, a controversial church group, of revenue. Scientists say the back-to-back storms that lashed the Northeast in January were more of a sign of things to come than an anomaly. Many scientists who study the intersection of climate change, flooding, winter storms, and sea level say such storms will arrive with increased frequency and ferocity, and the damage they leave behind will worsen as sea levels rise. They say the January storms that destroyed wharfs in Maine, eroded sand dunes in New Hampshire, and destroyed houses in Rhode Island are becoming more the norm than the exception, and the time to prepare for them is now. A recent decline in arrests for illegal crossings on the U.S. border with Mexico may prove only temporary. The drop in January at least partly reflects how the numbers ebb and flow. The reason usually goes beyond any single factor. Authorities said Tuesday that after a record-breaking number of encounters at the southern border in December, crossings dropped by half in January. The largest decrease seen was in the Del Rio sector encompassing Eagle Pass, Texas. That's been the main focus of Republican Governor Greg Abbott's recent border enforcement efforts. Mexico also increased enforcement efforts during that time, after talks with the Biden administration. Authorities say a burning truck's fuel tank exploded while Los Angeles firefighters were trying to battle the blaze. 9 were injured, including 2 critically. Fire officials say 10 firefighters, responding to a report of a vehicle fire early Thursday in the Wilmington neighborhood, arrived on the scene minutes before the blast. Officials say all victims were rushed to a nearby trauma center and stabilized. One has been transferred to a burn unit at another hospital. The explosion site is in an industrial area separated from a neighborhood by a wide street and a rail line. Wilmington is 18 miles south of downtown. Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the U.S. News for Friday, February 16th, 2024. Thanks again for joining us here at the Dunkley Report.